I don't have a lot of advice for my House colleagues other than this. Follow your heart, but take your brain with you. The American people expect us to govern. And in order to govern, you have to have leadership.
Well, it seems like it might be good advice. Senator John Kennedy, of course. I assume the advice will not be followed. Well, happy Wednesday to you. It's Hump Day. It's also Mailbag Day. Here on our humble radio broadcast, The Chris Plant Show. I say it's our humble radio broadcast because we know it's the best radio show in the country, right? I mean, that's obvious. The Washington Post is a newspaper of some repute. They're a Democrat Party front group. They're not actually a journalistic organization or anything like that. They're leftists, as we know. And they've got a piece today. How atheists can fix a broken America. How America needs more atheism. Atheism is what America needs more of because the Democrats are atheists and they're leftists. And if you have more atheists, then you'll have more Democrats and leftists. And, then they'll take your children away from you and change their genders and turn them into sexual freaks. And then who knows what they'll do with them. Probably lock them in cabinets in trailers because they're pretty creepy. The headline, America doesn't need more God. Period. It needs more atheists. And Kate Cohen, who is a communist, a godless leftist communist, wrote this piece, and the Washington Post is proud to publish it. Pretty amazing stuff. I like to say that my kids made me an atheist. Sure, brilliant. But really what they did was make me honest. Then she was struck by lightning. I was raised Jewish with Sabbath prayers and religious school, a bat mitzvah, a Jewish wedding, but I don't remember ever truly believing that God was out there listening to me sing songs of praise. Well, in your case, I think that's probably true. That's because, godless commie. So this is the Washington Post pushing godless communism and bragging about it and then the atheists need to fix America because, certainly it's quite amazing, this story. Godlessness is, that's what we don't have enough of, right?
All right. God save the Queen, man.
She then ticks off things that she hates. The Greek myths are obviously stories. Sure. The Norse myths are obviously stories. L. Ron Hubbard obviously made that stuff up. Extrapolate. The Holy Book's underpinnings. The Holy Book's underpinnings? Some of the underpinnings, some of the bigger theistic religions are riddled with, quote, facts, end quote, now disproved by science, is what she said. She's, really, like there are two genders? Unbelievable. She's amazing. Number 3, life is confusing and death is scary. You should look forward to it because you're so miserable. And it's pretty amazing.
Hope you stay healthy. God bless.
Number 4, so O.J. Simpson. Number 4 is child rape, war, etc. That's why she doesn't believe in God because Democrats are child rapists. So she wants more Democrats. She is. That's your Washington Post thing. They're demented. Godless commies are here to destroy the world and kill everyone in it, and then steal all your stuff.
COVID is God's gift to the left.
Hanoi Jane Fonda, mainstream Democrat. All right, let's get to. I just had to digress for that for a minute because the Washington Post, they're the godless commies promoting godless communism, And the reason she doesn't believe in God is because of war and child rape. She actually put child rape first and war. If you believed in God and understood God, then you'd understand the devil and Satan, good and evil, the darkness and the light. And you, lady, are part of the darkness and the evil. But never mind that. Let's get back to the madness in Washington, D.C. yesterday. I also, just one more throwaway, the Metro sectional in the Washington Post. Congressman's carjacking, he's a Democrat, Congressman's carjacking report stirs call for action. Well, sure, as a Democrat member of Congress, doesn't matter how many people are murdered and carjacked. Well, how many? Like 750 carjackings in Washington, D.C., but now there's a call for action because a Democrat member of Congress was carjacked by three Democrat youths with guns. SUV stolen 1 mile from Capitol. Attack underscores spiraling violence in D.C. Well, you're the Washington Post. Maybe you should be underscoring the spiraling violence in Washington, D.C. You're what we used to call a newspaper, in theory. All right, let's get to... I'm digressing because they give me too much. All right, let's go because Kevin McCarthy was removed as Speaker of the House yesterday. Honestly, I thought that he was likely going to survive yesterday's tumult, but I was wrong. 208 Democrats voted to remove the Speaker of the House. That's every single Democrat in the House of Representatives. And 8 Republicans voted to remove the Speaker of the House. That's 8 Republicans. And every other Republican voted in favor of Speaker McCarthy staying in the speakership, right? And the news media is loving it. They're touching themselves. They're having a feast of some kind, I think, on human flesh, the flesh of children. And the people that voted to remove the Republicans, that in addition to every single Democrat, and there was an irony in this that Matt Gaetz accused Speaker McCarthy of passing bills with Democrat help, which he had vowed to not do well with majority Democrat votes anyway. He vowed to not do. And he depended too much on Democrats, and then Matt Gaetz gets every single Democrat to vote with him in removing the Speaker of the House. But Matt Rosendale of Montana, Bob Good of Virginia voted to remove. These are the people that voted to remove, the Republicans that voted to remove Speaker McCarthy. Nancy Mace of South Carolina raising eyebrows. Matt Gaetz, of course. Eli Crane of Arizona. Tim Burchett of Tennessee. Ken Buck of Colorado. Look out for him. And Andy Biggs of Arizona. And all voted to remove Kevin McCarthy. If 4 of them had moved to the other side, Kevin McCarthy would still be the Speaker. If 4 Democrats had moved to the other side and not goose-stepped in lockstep with their armbands on, bringing the destruction to the Democrat Party, to the Republican Party, as was their intent, then, and it was a conspiracy. It was a seditious conspiracy by the radical Hakeem Jeffries, and Nancy Pelosi is out there, even though she was in California for the funeral of Dianne Feinstein and not there for this. The Democrats inflicted chaos, and 8 Republicans helped. Now, whether in the end this is the best thing, a spoonful of medicine, that remains to be seen. Let's go to Kevin McCarthy. And this is Kevin McCarthy on the floor of the House of Representatives on January 9th of this year when he was becoming Speaker of the House, and he had made a lot of promises to a number of Republicans in Congress about restoring regular order to the processes of Congress, holding the purse strings, right? And how he was going to restore what they call regular order. That means bills go through committees, and then they're voted on, and then we have 12 appropriations bills But instead, we waited and waited and waited, did not restore regular order, did not have 12 appropriations bills, did not pass bills through a committee, and then have votes on these individual bills. Everything gets thrown into a giant dump truck, and then it's a thumbs up or thumbs down for everything in the dump truck. And it doesn't matter how much bad stuff is in there. You've got to vote for it all or nothing. And that's what we keep doing with these continuing resolutions, right? He vowed that he would not pass bills with more Democrat votes than Republican votes. He did not make good on that promise. Promised that they would move forward with term limits. That didn't happen. Promised that we would move for a balanced budget amendment, that we would reduce spending. He did reduce some spending. He did pass some bills. And then they took 6 weeks off and they didn't pass the bills, angering a lot of Republicans in Congress. Now, whether this is the fix for that is another debate altogether. Whether what happened yesterday is the right path for that is going to be hotly debated for years to come. But it happened. So here we are. Kevin McCarthy back on January 9th as he was ascending to the speakership.
There is nothing more important than making it possible for American families to live and enjoy the lives they deserve. That is why we commit to stop wasteful Washington spending, to lower the price of groceries, gas, cars, housing, and stop the rising national debt. From now on, if a federal bureaucrat wants to spend it, they will come before us to defend it.
Those are good promises, but not a lot of make good on those promises. We're adding to the debt. We're adding to the deficits are not under control. Groceries are not less expensive. Gasoline peaked out higher, but we haven't gotten it back to Trump levels. We're not even trying. Now, I mean, you only control, right, the House of Representatives, and that with a narrow margin. But nevertheless, didn't lower the price of groceries or houses, didn't stop the debt, didn't get the deficit under control and moving in the other direction, didn't make people come before the Congress, which is how it's supposed to work, to justify the spending and the changes, the legislation. Really, none of that happened. And, making it possible for American families to enjoy life. Well, you want to make the conditions as favorable as possible, but that didn't happen a whole lot, honestly. Yesterday, the vote happened, and he was, I think, surprised to see that he had been kicked out, the first speaker in the history of the country to lose his job as Speaker of the House. And Chad Pergram with Fox News encountered Kevin McCarthy walking through the Capitol, and he looked stressed out. Kevin McCarthy, not Chad Pergram. He looked stressed out, and he looked like he was having a bad day because he was having a bad day. Kevin McCarthy.
What about these Republicans who are opposed to you? I mean, what has gone on here? What do you think is their thinking?
These are the same ones who opposed me before, and so they're turning the floor over to the Democrats.
They're turning the floor over to the Democrats. It's a big win for the Democrats. There is no doubt about that. That's for sure. I have Kevin McCarthy coming up. He had something of a farewell speech, and it sounded, while I was listening to it with my best girl, it sounded like, wow, is he going to resign from Congress here? Is he going to walk away completely? He did not, but it sounded like he was going to for quite some time. I've got to say, and he says he's going to hang in there and he's going to try to make good things happen. He says he's not going to run for Speaker again, for re-election as Speaker. But there is a lot to get to, and I'm going to share with you from Kevin McCarthy, from the Republicans that voted against Kevin McCarthy, from the crooked news media, and more. President Joe Biden's nefarious plan to inflict the digital dollar on all of us is already in progress, underway, and it's very important to understand the potential consequences because, notwithstanding the falsehoods they're telling us, this is not in your best interest or mine or anyone's best interest, the digital dollar. Time is of the essence, so getting smart on this topic to protect your savings and your retirement is a very good idea. You can help protect your savings from the harebrained scheme of the digital dollar by diversifying with gold and silver IRAs, precious metals. You get started by calling the experts at American Alternative Assets. To get smart on the subject, give them a call at 888-4GOLD20. That's 888-446-5320. They'll give you all the guidance you need on safeguarding your retirement savings. Boy, oh boy, couldn't be more important. Say no to Joe Biden's digital dollar. Call 888-4GOLD20. Individual results may vary. There is no guarantee that past performance will be indicative of future results. Seek your own legal, tax, investment, and financial advice before opening an account. Yeah, lots coming up here, of course, and I know that a lot of you out there want to weigh in, and I'm looking forward to having you do just that. I do want to share what Kevin McCarthy said. Some of the Republicans that voted against him, it's important. Hey, it's Chris Plant, excited to tell you about our July 2024 Listener Sea Cruise. We'll be sailing around the British Isles, visiting Scotland and Ireland. Please join us. Book by this July 31st for extra savings. Visit ChrisPlantCruise.com. Let's go back to the telephones. Let's see. Let's go to Jim on line 4 calling on the Well, he's from Wildwood, Florida, listening on the WMAL app. Jimmy, you're on the Chris Plant Show.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, and thanks for all the information and this regular order thing. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, I think their plan, this is just Jim's opinion from Florida, is Plan B. Their first plan should have been immigration. It's got to stop. Again, we can fight amongst ourselves against all the craziness and all the spending and all that. I mean, our money's worth the same as the Chinese money, so it doesn't really matter in the world these days. But Mayorkas should be impeached instantly. He should be thrown out, impeached, and tried for treason. Let's pull that one on him like they do with Trump. Try him for treason for not enforcing the border. Thank you, Chris.
Yeah, you bet. Hey, well said. Call in, major points. And, you're right. Regular order sounds like a lot of bureaucratic Washington hooey, a lot of stuff. But you're right. If it were my plan and we're going to oust the speaker, I would want to have the replacement speaker lined up, which means you've got to engage in politics and discussions in the cloakroom before you have the vote and who we're going to have. And presumably you'd have some idea it's going to be Steve Scalise in all probability. And Steve Scalise has certainly earned it and probably deserves it. So, okay, and he's the number 2 guy. So, hey, we're going to have a vote. We've just removed the speaker. Now we're going to have another vote. We're going to make Steve Scalise the Speaker of the House. And now we're going to bring up a bill that has been lying dormant in someone's drawer. And that could be, we're going to secure the border and get that done in the same day. Then the news reports would have to be, wow, look at all this stuff. Kevin McCarthy was removed. Steve Scalise is the new Speaker of the House, and they're already passing bills on the House floor. That's something. Now things are moving. Put a little fear of dog into the Democrats. Also, because the Democrat Party is an ongoing criminal enterprise, the White House announced this morning that President Biden is giving an additional $9 billion in what they call student debt relief. So people took out loans, and Joe Biden's going to pay them off with your money to buy their votes like the criminal that he is. This makes Chicago walking around money politics look like piker stuff, honestly. The White House, hey, look at that. Another $9 billion in what they call student debt forgiveness for 125,000 people that took out student loans. That's $72,000 per person. Joe Biden is handing over $72,000 on average to 125,000 people, some of whom may not even be Americans, of your money and mine to buy their votes with cash. And the news media applauds this because they're leftists. Just extraordinary. 125,000 students having loans paid off, up to $72,000 on average, at least. $9 billion today. They call it student debt. Why not pay off everybody's car loans? Why not home loans? Why not whatever other, your credit card bills? Your student debt? Really? They see this as an opportunity for them to buy votes because, they're crooks. And the news media is so crooked that they applaud this. Isn't it great? $9 billion student debt relief as payments resume. Just extraordinary. The Biden administration has now forgiven, like their God, $127 billion of student debt. That's a very large amount of money, and we're paying for it. And the Democrats are the biggest crooks in the history of the world, stealing all this money to buy votes right out here in the light of day. $9 billion more today for another 125,000 people who allegedly went to college but are too stupid to know how to pay off their loans. They probably got degrees in, Peruvian art studies and, race studies where there are no jobs, believe it or not. Major in business and economics, and then do something with yourself, something useful, okay? The latest amount, the Biden administration has now forgiven $127 billion of student debt for roughly 3.6 million Democrat voters and borrowers, the White House said in a press release as they bragged about it. Isn't that amazing? You're a Democrat party. All right, let's go to Kevin McCarthy's his farewell speech yesterday. Not George S. Patton, but it was pretty good, I've got to say. I mean, I've never disliked the guy. Just point out that he's not good at speaking, and his title is Speaker, which I find to be ironic. But last night he came out and he spoke, and I felt for him. I mean, I don't think he's a complete villain, but I think that he screwed up in a lot of ways, and that we need to shape up Washington and we need to shape up Congress, and there is no easy way to do that. We won the House, and then the incoming speaker promised that all these good things were going to happen, and then for the most part, those good things didn't happen. So we should take issue with that. And then what we always get is, it's like being a Chicago Cubs fan. Wait till next year. Next year we won't wait to the last minute and take 6 weeks off in the summertime and not pass any bills and not follow regular order. Next year all your dreams will come true, and then it never happens. And I don't know how many times the Charlie Brown football thing is going to. But here's Kevin McCarthy last night at his farewell from the speakership.
From the day I entered politics, my mission has always been to make tomorrow better than today. I fought for what I believe in, and I believe in this country of America.
This country of America.
My goals have not changed. My ability to fight is just in a different form.
His ability to fight is just in a different form. He's shape-shifting. He's no longer the speaker, the most powerful in the House of Representatives. And he agreed to this crazy rule where one member of Congress could file the motion to vacate, used to require a whole bunch, and then all the Democrats come along with you, and we're off to the racists. Off to the racists? Yeah, why not? Kevin McCarthy last night.
You need 218. Unfortunately, 4% of our conference can join all the Democrats and dictate who can be the Republican speaker in this House. I don't think that rule is good
you agreed
for the
to
institution, but apparently I'm the only one.
Well, you're not the only one. Almost all the Republicans voted with you, so you're not the only one. But you agreed to the rule change when you were horse trading for votes to become speaker. And then Nancy Pelosi promised you that if it came down to that she'd back you and the Democrats would save you. And then, sucker, she was lying because she lies all the time because she's a lying Sacagawea. Kevin McCarthy.
Doing the right thing isn't always easy, but it is necessary. I don't regret standing up for choosing governing over grievance.
Governing?
It is my responsibility. It is my job. I do not regret negotiating. Our government is designed to find compromise.
When appropriate, absolutely true. But when you're dealing with fanatics who do not deviate from the party line and every single one of them voted against you because their leader told them to. You know, the Republican Party has food fights. I saw news media people on the radical left last night mocking that, as though the party is supposed to be a monolith and every party member must goose step with the party leadership, as the Democrats invariably do. And that's good, the news media was saying. No, that would defeat the concept of a marketplace of ideas and creating a great debating society in the Congress and in the Senate. But, you know, they don't believe in any of these things. They're not on our side. He did promise that, you know, when it comes to being Speaker, he's done with that, at least for now.
I will not run for Speaker again. I'll have the conference pick somebody else. I hope you realize that every day I did the job, regardless whether you underestimated me or not.
I'll have the conference pick somebody else. Well, you're not the Speaker anymore, so I don't think you will have the conference do that technically, but still going to have a lot of sway, no doubt. And I assume Steve Scalise, and it's true, as Danny points out, Steve Scalise, Congressman Scalise, is also battling cancer, in addition to having been shot several years ago. Just amazing stuff. Congressman Jim Jordan has announced that he intends to run for Speaker of the House, Chairman Jim Jordan. And so now the Republicans, they're talking about having a vote a week from today. Last night they were saying a week from yesterday. Now they're saying a week from today they will have a vote on a new Speaker. Again, you know, it might be, can you have it today? You're going to be some horse trading. It's a week. It's not forever. But, you know, don't give your enemies and the Democrat Party and the press, but I repeat myself, any more ammo than they already have. Stop feeding machine gun belts to the people that want to mow you down. Try to do something well and quickly and dazzle us all, impress us all, start passing bills right away. But, you know, Jim Jordan should be in the race. Steve Scalise should be in the race. And there are others, Byron Donalds. And also, you know, it is kind of funny. There is basically an acting Speaker of the House right now, Patrick McHenry. And as soon as he was made the acting Speaker of the House, he did something very funny in ordering Nancy Pelosi to vacate her Capitol Hill hideaway office. Now, she's still got her office as a member of the House of Representatives, but as the former Speaker, since the Democrats lost control of the House of Representatives, she was given an additional fancy office, kind of comparable to the office of the Speaker of the House. I guess it's hard to envision all this on Capitol Hill. But members of the House have offices like in the Cannon House office building, right, and the Longworth House office. But there are 3 House office buildings where members of the House have their offices. And then if you're the Speaker of the House, you get a big office inside the Capitol looking down the mall at the Washington Monument and stuff. And so you got Cannon, Longworth, and Rayburn House office buildings where, you know, you can go pull the fire alarms. Did you see the Babylon Bee headline last night? Kevin McCarthy looking for fire alarm because, you know, he wanted to pull the fire alarm. But it's fun that Patrick McHenry ordered her to be out by today, by Wednesday, of this additional office in the Capitol because she was gifted this kind of fancy additional office to make her like a pseudo-speaker, the Speaker Emerita. All right, Kevin McCarthy last night while stepping aside.
Today was a political decision by the Democrats. And I think the things they have done in the past hurt the institution when they just started removing people from committee. Well, yeah, of course, the Democrats destroy everything and then buy votes with our money and call it student debt relief. Why are they? Have they earned? Really, is there some reason? Was there a hurricane or something? What's the? Here it is. But all this stuff just happens, and the Republicans on Capitol Hill are not fighting, and they're not pounding the table, and not yelling, and they're not singing "God Bless America" on the steps, and they're not making it happen. They're very frustrating. Kevin McCarthy. I don't think it says about the Republican Party. I think it says something about some people who are not a conservative.
Matt Gaetz.
You all know Matt Gaetz.
People who are not a conservative.
You know it was personal. It had nothing to do about spending.
Nothing to do about spending.
To do about everything he accused somebody of he was doing. It all was about getting attention from you. I mean, we're getting email fundraisers from him as he's doing it. Join in quickly. That's not governing. That's not becoming of a member of Congress. And regardless of what you think, I've seen the text. It was all about his ethics, but that's all right.
It was all about his ethics, but that's right. Grammar is not his bag. That's always been the case. Doesn't make him a terrible person, but nevertheless. Now this makes him a terrible person. Listen to this one. He actually believed Nancy Pelosi when Nancy Pelosi lied to him and said, "Oh, sure, one person can file a motion to vacate, but we'll back you up. We Democrats, we'll save you if that should happen." And then Nancy Pelosi was proved last night again, to be a fantastic liar.
Interesting. It was in this room after we had won the majority. I had become speaker list, and Nancy Pelosi came to me. She was speaker at the time on the way out. And I told her I was having issues with getting enough votes. And she said, "What's the problem?" I said, "They want this one person can rule you out." She was the only speaker to have changed that rule. I had the power to call the vote on her, but I never would. I lost some votes because of it. And she said, "Just give it to him. I'll always back you up." I made the same offer to Boehner and same thing to Paul, because I believe in the institution.
I'll always back you up because I believe in the institution. And she's a liar, but he believed her, even though she's a big fat liar.
Hey, come on, flounder. Can't spend your whole life worrying about your mistakes. You fucked up. You trusted us. Hey, make the best of it.
Make the best of it. Honestly, what's the, he's flounder now. He trusted Nancy Pelosi. Hey, Pelosi's got my back. I got nothing to worry about. That's what happened there. That's pretty amazing. I've got Stephen Miller coming up, and he scorches the earth around this situation pretty well, I've got to say. And I'll share that with you. I'll share that with you coming up. Okay. Well, let's take a quick one here. There's a lot more to get to on this. Newt Gingrich. Congressman Corey Mills voted against McCarthy, and he explained himself. I want to share that with you as well. And mayhem across the country. Democrat lunatics committing insane crimes all over the country. And there are a couple of elected Democrats that are actually paying attention, if not coming to their senses, including in Chicago. I've got that coming up. And Democrats still want men to compete against women in athletics, boys to compete against girls, because they're sick in the head. I'm tapping my right temple with the tip of my right index finger. I'll tell you one thing. Today is Mailbag Day also. Kind of a busy day for Mailbag Day, isn't it? Such goings on, such goings on. But I do have my mailbag questions in front of me now, and they'll be coming up in the next hour. In addition to more, and you got to hear one of the Republicans that voted against the Speaker explaining himself, Congressman Corey Mills, and he speaks well. In the meantime, let's go to the telephones and talk to nice people. Let's talk to Rick, calling from Ottawa, Canada, which is a different country and not even the United States of America. Rick, you're on the Chris Plante Show.
Yes, quite a different country. It hasn't been a good week for speakers in North America, both Canada and the United States, one can't help but noticing. Our House of Commons, or as some of us now like to call it, the House of Himmler, Hess, and Goebbels, the Speaker was fired for taking the blame for inviting a Nazi into our House of Parliament, which you're well aware of. And then your Speaker is, also been sent the door.
You're right.
One kind of wonders, if there's some sort. I know the role of Speaker in Canada is quite different than that in the American system, but it's kind of interesting that two speakers have been basically kicked out the door.
Yeah, the same week. That's true. And your Speaker, I got to say, at least Kevin McCarthy did invite a Nazi in to give him a standing ovation. So that's good. A Waffen SS Nazi out of Ukraine with a unit that committed atrocities in Poland and beyond. That was an extraordinary story. It really was. You got to, some staff people should probably never work in politics again either. That was an extraordinary. Now, he was forced to resign, right?
Yeah, he was. But that may be true. But one wonders if there's another agenda at work here, because the fellow who's going to replace him is even more of a globalist, World Economic Forum shill, and anti-Canadian, anti-democratic. Well, anti everything that we all love and hold dear. So that remains to be seen. This is the same thing as in the case with your new Speaker. I hope it's Steve Scalise, because as somebody has wisely pointed out, he's actually literally taken a bullet for the team. So that may give one a little bit more confidence if it ends up being Steve Scalise, and we'll all hope and pray that we'll look for the better. Try to look for the better side of human nature in anything, and hope for the best.
Well, as you know, Rick, the left is the darkness, and you call them anti-Canadian. I'm familiar with people being identified correctly as anti-American. I don't think I've ever heard anybody called anti-Canadian before, but these globalist lefties, the left is the greatest threat to civilization on the planet Earth today.